Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Movie Nights Roundtable Live. It is me, Dalton Burdett, with the amazing Nick Iricchio. Nick, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. Happy to not be doing this solo again.
Hey, and listen, I appreciate you greatly for doing it solo last time. You stepped up when I needed I needed to go promote Quiver, which, by the way, will be streaming very soon. As soon as I get the date locked in, I'll let everybody know. It'll be this summer, though. But thank you again for that, buddy. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, happy to do it. Happy to do it.
Of course. And guys, we have an incredible show for you today. Tons of follow-up news stories, some breaking news that happened today, and as well as just some other fun things thrown in there. Lots to get to, which we're going to dive into in a second. But before we do that, if you're new here and, you're finding our channel for the first time, first of all, welcome. Secondly, on our show, if you want to put in live stuff into the live chat, I'll happily pop it up on the screen and make you part of the conversation whenever we get a chance to do so in the show. I, love making a community here. And if you feel like you want a super chat, we'll obviously, put those as precedent for what we address, but please do not feel like you have to. Don't feel obliged to. Just if you feel like you want to, we'll, of course, read those off first. And with that down, let's dive into the news stories with Nicholas's amazing PowerPoint that he has here. And our first story is going to be a follow-up from one that we've been following for a while now, and that is about the growing list of the cast for the Hunger Games Sunrise on the Reaping. We have KieranCulken officially playing Caesar in the film. Here are the details. Oh, there are no details. I forgot it's off the top. So, that's on me. So, this is something that was rumored for a while. And I'm just so happy that it's finally been announced, mostly just for Kieran's sake. I know he's doing Broadway right now, but, as soon as he would have got off, every press tour the guy goes on would have been, are you in Hunger Games? Are you in Hunger Games? Are you in Hunger Games? So I'm glad that the announcement's out so he can now just be like, yes, I'm in it. We're good. We're chilling. And so, that's cool to see. I think it's great casting, and I think he'll do really great in the role. And, even just for, forget the franchise, any actor gets the chance to play a role that the amazing Stanley Tucci played, it's a no-brainer. So, Nick, what are your thoughts on KieranCulken taking this role?
I'm just happy it's announced. Like we said, it's been rumored for a while now, and it was just really kind of one of those last lingering things where I'm just like, man, these casting directors have knocked it out of the park.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if that was like if they were getting down to the wire on that deal making, because I feel like you save Ray Fiennes for last, personally, but I think this is an excellent choice. KieranCulken playing Caesar Flickman, which was played by Stanley Tucci, one is absolutely fantastic casting. And as we have said ad nauseum on this show, the casting director is going for the Oscar.
Oh, yes.
And the thing that's the most insane about this is it's not even the best casting in the movie. And it's already a perfect casting. I mean, as reported last week on the show, Elle Fanning is confirmed to play Effie. I think that's casting. Jesse Plemons as Pultrich. Pultrich, that's the name, right? Pultrich?
I believe so.
Is probably the best casting. And Ray Fiennes is a good casting, not just as President Snow, but just casting Ray Fiennes in anything is always the correct choice. So I don't even know if he's a good President Snow. I just know he's the best actor working. So he is going to be a good President Snow,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I mean, Maya Hawke as Wiress. I mean, they have just been crushing it out of the park. And I think KieranCulken is a wonderful addition to the cast. Obviously, I'm excited to see him. I love Succession. A Real Pain was, I think, in my top 10. Might have even been in my top 5 last year. For movies, so it's something that I'm just actively excited about.
No, 100%. Everything you said is correct. Every day this movie gets closer. I look forward to it more and more with all the news that we've been seeing, and I'm excited. I can't wait for when we actually start shooting and we can get to see some set photos and trailers. It'll be a lot of fun. But guys, what do you think about KieranCulken joining the cast of the Hunger Games Sunrise on the Reaping, playing the role that Stanley Tucci previously played of Caesar? Let us know in the comments as we move on to our next story, and this one has me really excited. For those of you that have followed the channel, you know that we're obviously big Daredevil fans, and that I did live streams that Nick joined in on a couple times after each episode of Born Again as it aired to kind of talk about spoilers of the episode, which was a lot of fun. An actor from Daredevil Born Again, one of my favorite things, is joining one of my favorite horror franchises. And again, if you've followed us for any period of time, all right, there's like one of 3 franchises he's probably talking about right now. It's Evil Dead, and the actor is Hunter Dorian, or Dorian, however you pronounce it. And it's the actor that played Muse, and he has been cast in Evil Dead Burn, which, by the way, what a fucking title. I love it. Here are the details that we're pulling from Deadline. Doohan, it's Hunter Doohan. I apologize. Like we said, he just played Muse. Sebastian Vanekek is set to direct the new film. There is nothing about the plot and details just yet, but the film will release in July of next year. I assume it starts shooting any minute now. This is really exciting news. I know that Hunter Doohan has had work, obviously, before Daredevil. I believe he was on another series that was popular that's leaving me. But he
Wednesday.
was... Thank you. He was excellent as Muse in the limited role that he had. I'm glad to see him get more work, but more importantly, I'm just glad to see him get an Evil Dead film. I love the Evil Dead franchise. Evil Dead Rise was amazing. Evil Dead Burn, amazing title. I'm a happy boy right now. I can't wait for the new Evil Dead film. I can't wait for just everything that's going to be coming with this, and if they're starting off casting right. So I'm excited. Nick, what do you think about this casting?
No, I think I think it's a good casting choice. We don't know who he's playing or what he's playing, right? So it's hard to say it's a good casting in terms of like what we were just talking about with Hunger Games: Sunrise on the Reaping, right? KieranCulken as Caesar Flickman, but I think that I really liked the little bit that we got of him in Daredevil Born Again. I think that Muse was kind of undercut a little bit just based off the story and creative changes, but to me as an audience member being kind of semi-familiar with Muse, but not like, oh my God, they're doing Muse, I felt satisfied with it, but I could see a lot of maybe people who've been waiting for Muse to get his chance in the spotlight being a little scorned by it. That's how I'm going to feel when and if they finally decide to do Sin Eater, which is the Daredevil villain I'm most excited for them to do eventually. But I thought the portrayal that he gave, I thought was fantastic. I have not seen Wednesday, so I don't know much about Wednesday in that regard. But obviously, he is someone that is able to attach himself to these successful franchises, right? Obviously, Wednesday Season 2 is coming out, Daredevil Born Again Season 2, which maybe we'll get a flashback.
Maybe.
But, I think it's always an exciting thing. I think he's a great talent. With that character of Muse, he had this eerie sense about him. And so I think that it's a great choice from that side of things, especially for an Evil Dead movie, to be able to have him have the chance to bring that into it. I think it's a solid choice. The title is absolutely fantastic. So I am excited about that. And I hope now they know that they have to top their title card from Evil Dead Rise with this. So...
See, I disagree. I don't think you try. I don't think you're going to get much of a better title card ever. So just.
That's fair,
just
but you just know it's going to be a burning logo.
Oh man, don't put expectations on me like that. I come on. I gotta go in and.
Listen, I think it's great news when there's any Evil Dead news, and
Correct.
I think having a good talent, I think it's a positive.
No, 100%, absolutely. And you said going back to some people who watch maybe not being satisfied with Muse's arc or like how little he was on, dude. If you guys go back and watch, because we got to watch the whole series early, if you go back and watch the spoiler-free review we did of the series, I am struggling to say that without spoiling it, because so bad I wanted to set expectations of like, hey, if you're looking forward to Muse, he's not in it that much. But if you say that, but if you say that, then people know like, oh, does he fucking die? So it's like I was struggling. I was like, like how do I say this? So I kept like dancing around, being like, there's an aspect of the show that you may be disappointed by if you don't blah blah blah. So that was interesting. But going back to villains, I want to see, just bring back Alice Eve as Typhoid Mary, please, for the love of God. I love Typhoid Mary, and Alice Eve was great in Iron Fist. Bring her back. Last thing.
Do you think there's a better casting choice for it?
No. I don't.
You think Alice Eve is the penultimate for what they could do with Typhoid Mary?
No, of course not. I'm sure you could cast better, but I thought she did a good job, and I think if you get her with a writing staff that's actually excellent, you never know what's going to happen, which is what I think they should also do with Finn Jones. Speaking of which, this is just rumor stuff that I promise we'll get to the next story. Did you see that both Mike Coulter and Finn Jones are in New York right now?
I did. Luke Cage and Iron Fist, baby.
Kevin, do it. Please, I'm begging you. Just get him in. Get him in, and even if it's a cameo, just do it for me. Please. Please,
well, I mean, we already got a Harlem Harlem's Paradise reference in Daredevil Born Again, but there was unfortunately nothing about Rand Enterprises.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. And
Not
we
yet.
know Jessica Jones has been confirmed officially. She's in it, but we'll see if we get the rest. But guys, sorry I went off topic. What do you think about Hunter Doohan joining the cast of Evil Dead Burn? Let us know in the comments as we move on to our next story. And really quickly, Kevin Davis in the live chat, you have a lot of good chats that we're going to bring up towards the end of the show when we get to a topic that's more related, and I'll pull up your chats on the screen, I promise you. Don't worry, we will get to them. But for now, we're going to move on to our next story, and that is the Elden Ring film, which has been long rumored is not only official, but it has a director. And that director may come as a surprise to you, everyone, because the director of the Elden Ring film will be none other than Alex Garland. This really surprised me. Alex Garland, if you're not familiar, directed the most recently Civil War. He was a co-director on Warfare. He directed Ex Machina, and it's not listed here, but he also directed Annihilation,
and
which
it's not
is
listed for a goddamn good reason.
No.
It sucks.
No. Annihilation is a great movie. I will die.
Wrong.
I will die. I will die on that hill. Annihilation is a great movie. Oh, you pissed me off. It's happened.
It's not
in
good.
The show. It's amazing. It's
Alex
such
Garland's
a good movie.
a good director. Annihilation is a bad movie.
Oh my god, dude. The fucking bear thing. Are you joking me right now?
Way to name the one cool scene in the movie.
There are so many cool scenes in the movie.
No, that's the only cool scene.
No, dude. It's so good. I love the ending. The ending is dark and haunting. Oscar Isaac's small role in it is like so creepy. The atmosphere, the world. I love that movie. I have the 4K. It's a great movie. I'll die on that hill. I love Annihilation. I'm an Annihilation defender.
I refuse to even rewatch it.
Oh my.
I'm not even going to be open. I'm not even going to be open in the conversation here to being like, maybe I should revisit it. No. Hard stop.
No.
Bad movie.
I love it.
I
love
just
it.
Pissed off so many film bros that are going to look at my Letterboxd top 4 and just I'm gonna be dismissed so hard when they see Con Air in that top 4.
And they shouldn't, because Con Air is great. But listen, if you think that you've gotten the worst of it, and you think, maybe I just got away and I avoided the film bros, I'm clipping that shit out, baby. I'm making sure it gets doubled down. That opinion is getting doubled down. You just wait. Anyway, back to the topic at hand, you fucker.
If there are 1,000 Annihilation haters, I am one of them. If there's 100 Annihilation haters, I am one of them. If there are 0 Annihilation haters, I have died.
And if there's one Annihilation lover left, it is me. I love that movie. Anyway, Alex Garland will be directing the Elden Ring film. Elden Ring, for those that don't know, is an action role-playing game set in an authentic fantasy world which allows players to head off on adventure within vast environments and dungeons based on a story written by George R.R. Martin, who wrote the Game of Thrones book series. Over 30 million units have shipped worldwide and won Game of the Year at several award ceremonies. 4 of Garland's last 5 directorial efforts have been with A24, and I believe this one is going to be A24, right?
Yes, correct.
So let's talk about that. A24 is making a fucking Elden Ring movie, dude. What the fuck? That's awesome.
Absolutely sold.
That is awesome. Immediately sold. Immediately. And I don't have really any experience with Elden Ring, but I know a lot of people who are fans of it. And this just sounds incredible. And something that we've talked about on the show in the past previously as well is just the fact that A24 has talked about subtly getting into the franchise game, because they're typically known for the exact opposite, but then they announced a sequel to Talk to Me a while back, which we should be getting very soon. But now, just launching with a full IP film is crazy work. That's crazy work. I cannot wait for that to happen. This really excites me, and I'm really curious to see how A24 handles it. Because if it fails, they have enough goodwill with people that no one's going to brush them off. They're just going to go, nice try. Let's go see the next, small budget movie you got for us. And if it is successful, then they have a whole new avenue of success for them. This excites me. What are your thoughts on this?
I am very excited about the idea of an Elden Ring movie. I just have some, I guess, initial hesitations because genuinely I think it is one of, if not the best game that I have ever played. It is absolutely phenomenal. The world building, the visuals, the gameplay, everything is just so cool, so well thought out, so breathtaking, and the absolute scale of it is massive. And I think the thing is, like, right, if you look at something like Dungeons and Dragons, right? That's something that I feel like can be very episodic, and you could just make another Dungeons and Dragon movies that's set in this adventure. The Elden Ring story is just so sprawling and vast, and there's so many different ways to play it as well that I don't know how you condense that into one movie or a series. Like, I feel like it has to be a not even a series of, like, episodic adventures, but, like, a sprawling tale, almost like the Dune franchise.
Mm.
So I'm interested in that regard. I don't think that I think Alex Garland is a good choice for it. I don't know if he's the best choice, but I also, off the top of my head, can't think of, like, oh my god, this is the person that should handle Elden Ring. But I think he has handled A24 movies very well. Obviously, he has a great working relationship with them. So I think that is a strong suit for this project. What interests me most, though, is if you look at A24's releases, Civil War was made for 50, which that movie looked a lot more expensive than 50,
Hmm.
which means to me that Alex Garland knows how to handle a budget. And so I'm more interested also in, if you look ahead, right? Marty Supreme, the movie with Timothy Chalamet, and the Safdie brothers, the one brothers, the Smashing Machine with The Rock playing Mark Kerr, that also has a $70 million budget. So 20 more than Civil War. So I'm curious what they're kind of going to be billing Elden Ring at. Because just from an effects standpoint, just from a I don't just the scale of it, I don't know
Hmm.
how you do it cheap. And I think that that makes it a big gamble on A24's part, but I would say I think that there's a way to do it similar to, I'm looking it up as I fact check it, like, The Green Knight only had a $15 million budget.
Hmm.
And I don't think that those are in The Green Knight and Elden Ring are interchangeable, but I think tonally and stylistically something I think that could be a strong inspiration, but with a bigger budget.
100%. I think this will easily be A24's most expensive movie, probably. And, you being someone who's familiar with the game and familiar with the world, do you think there's a chance, instead of it being a sprawling epic of one story, do you think it's possible that it's just a sprawling epic of random stories within the Elden Ring world? What do you think would be the more likely scenario there?
I don't know. It's so difficult. I really think, because part of it, right? Because it's part of the I think it's Dark Souls franchise, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm.
Um, but anyway, but the whole thing is, right. You fight your way up to get to a boss level, right? So I think that there is a way, if they handle it right. I think there's a great way for it to be, because you fight so many, like, massive bosses throughout the game, and you get your ass handed to you. You die so many times. It's virtually impossible to beat a boss the first time you're fighting them. So I think that there's a great potential there. Whereas if you can flesh that out, you can just go boss by boss, movie by movie, if it's successful and if people want to do it and if people have an interest and it does well, right? But I think you really just pick a boss and you work your way the story to get to that point, instead of having these mini bosses throughout leading to a big one. I think you make these mini bosses a much larger threat for the sake of the movie and in telling a complete hero journey story. But that's also the difficult part, is telling a hero's journey in that small sect, but still having a larger hero's journey throughout it, if that makes sense.
I kind of see where you're going. What it reminds me of, I'm going to make a Mad Max comparison here. It
Yeah.
reminds me of the fact that George Miller basically wrote like a whole Bible for Mad Max, and Fury Road and Furiosa are just sections of the Bible that he pulled out of this overall story he had and said, we're going to do this part, and then we're going to do this part. And I wonder if
Yeah.
that's something that they could do, is like they have like this whole epic world of stories, and for films or whatever, they can just be like, and this is a movie, and this is a movie,
Mhm.
even if it has characters that don't always overlap. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I could see that, but like, yeah, I think that's the thing is like it's about your rise to greatness, and so you still want if you're not doing it as a series, like you're watching in Dune, you're watching Paul's rise and fall essentially, or that conversion of the character, and I think that having that right once they get to the end and he's already the hero that saves the day, where do you go in movie two?
Hmm.
And I think that's the thing because the whole game is scaling up to that point. Um, but I mean, I think it has a lot of potential. I think Alex Garland's an excellent filmmaker to be behind it. I think the cinematography in his movies are great. I don't know if it's the same person across all of them, but bring them on board. I think it's going to be, if they do it right, I think it's going to be a very cinematically beautiful movie. And I think that there's a lot of potential from like an effect standpoint, from a practical effects standpoint.
Mm.
And I'm curious too, because I'm trying to think. I think that the raid on DC and the White House in Civil War, I thought was shot as an action piece absolutely phenomenally.
Hmm.
So I am curious to see him doing right. There's swords and arrows and magic throughout Elden Ring. So I'm curious how he could bring that style and that tense, suspense driven filmmaking to Elden Ring. Like I'm curious to see a sword fight directed by Alex Garland, you know?
Yeah, no, same here. And all I know is if it's Alex Garland, that means the sound design in this movie is going to be fucking killer. Because every Alex Garland movie I've seen sounds
Oh my god,
spectacular.
especially Warfare. Even the shootout scenes in Warfare, not even from a
Hmm.
sound pan, but again, just the staging and the way it's shot. Like I think it's a very exciting thing.
And I was genuinely upset when Civil War in particular did not get recognized for sound at the Academy Awards. I thought that movie sounded exceptional. Anyway, getting nerd sweaty. Guys, what do you think about Alex Garland directing the Elden Ring film? Are you excited about this? Is this something you want to see more of? Let us know in the comments as we move on to our next story. And this next one, this is a fun one that I kind of wanted to bring up. A legendary film for, sort of our generation is The Devil Wears Prada. It's, a Meryl Streep film. It's an Anne Hathaway film. It's a great film. I've only seen it once, so it's ripe for a rewatching for me. I need to rewatch the film. But rumors and whispers have been going around for a long time about a sequel to Devil Wears Prada. I think when it was officially announced, we may have even mentioned it on the show. I can't remember. But more tangibilization, or just, more proof that it's real, is occurring because it has an official release date. The Devil Wears Prada sequel will be released on May 1st, 2026. And wait, I think that's the release date for another film. Or is it? You clicked on the thumbnail, you know where we're going later. But Meryl Streep and Emily Blunt will be returning in the film, and it follows Priestley as she navigates her career amid the decline of traditional magazine publishing as she faces off against Blunt's character, now a high-empowered executive for a luxury group with advertising dollars that Priestley desperately needs. Here's what I'll say. One, this is just kind of exciting in general. It's a very fun thing. Two, that story sounds pretty good. And normally when you make like a legacy sequel or whatever, you don't just want to rely on nostalgia and rely on like, just, things that are arbitrary. Having a story to tell about the decline of a traditional magazine and how someone who was like a queen in that world, like kind of being shook about how the world's changing. I saw Devil Wears Prada sequel and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I saw that synopsis and I was like, oh, that sounds really interesting. I want to see the movie. Like, I think this is going to be great. I hope it is, at least. I do need to rewatch the first one. It has been a long time. But I'm actually very intrigued and excited by this premise. Nick, what do you think?
Well, we can add this movie to the list of movies Nick has never seen.
Womp womp.
Wah, wah. No, I mean from what I know about the movie, right? I know that it is, like you said, part of like our generation. Like a lot of people hold this movie very dearly. There's a lot of nostalgia for it, and so I the sequel makes me want to watch the first one. I think it's a very interesting story too, especially one with the idea of the topicness of like failing print media, and also just the idea that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, was Emily Blunt like her, not like assistant, but like she was kind of like her mentoree, her intern, her whatever you want to call
Correct.
it.
Yes. Yes.
So I think the idea of that power shift dynamic, I think there's a lot of fun to be had with that. So I think that's interesting because who wouldn't love to see their like a very toxic boss come like groveling at their feet and like that power shift dynamic. I think there's a lot of fun to play into that, and I think Emily Blunt, Meryl Streep are both phenomenal actresses. So I think it's a very exciting idea.
No, I do as well. I do as well. And like I said, didn't think I'd be as excited for the movie as I am. And I'm also realizing that in a world of YouTube algorithms and trying to gain an audience, we advertised the next topic as our thumbnail, and people clicked in to find out that we're talking about Devil Wears Prada. And I just can't wait to see like how that has ripple effects on everything. Either way, I'm down. It's fun. But guys, what do you think about the Devil Wears Prada sequel getting an official release date? And do you like the synopsis? I think that sounds very interesting. Let us know in the comments as we move on to our main topic story. This is the thumbnail you clicked on. This is what you want to see. Guys, in one of the most least shocking moves of all time, bummer, womp womp, Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars have been delayed, but they've only been delayed by about 6 months each. Here is the rundown for you. Doomsday will now release December 18th, 2026 from the May 1st, 2026 release date that Devil Wears Prada is now taking. Secret Wars will release in December of 2027 from May of 2027. It helps the production schedule according to the Hollywood Reporter that we have here. Marvel also removed 3 unknown MCU movies from their release calendars. Now, a lot to break down here, a lot to discuss. What I want to bring up first is this. A lot of articles right now are saying, oh, Spider-Man Brand New Day now comes out before Doomsday. As it stands right now, yes, it comes out in July. This is true. However, I would not be shocked in the slightest if that film also gets delayed. But that's a Sony film. We're not going to find out at the same time. We'll see. Maybe it won't be delayed. Maybe they're ready to go and their story isn't really affected by if it comes before or after Doomsday. My worry, though, is that it was very connected, and then we have a No Way Home multiverse of madness situation where stories of both movies had to drastically be redone because of the release order, and how, like, America Chavez originally had a huge role in No Way Home to eventually just having no role in No Way Home and being all in Multiverse of Madness. Like, that thing could happen. That's just another thing. The thoughts on the delays themselves. Overall, I think this is a good thing. I think more time to make the movie, more time to make it what you need to be, more time to make it good. Excellent. And I'm sure VFX definitely has something to do with this. They want to make sure they're right, especially after the union within Marvel in the VFX. I believe they just won like a union-type contract where they're going to have better working conditions finally. Good for them. They deserve it. Absolutely. I have a theory about this, though. I bet one of the reasons that these delays have occurred is that they have not locked in everybody that they need to yet. And they have situations where they're filming a movie with only some of the cast in because scheduling's a bitch and scheduling's terrible. And they're like, all right, I need you for 2 weeks. When are you free? You're free these 2 weeks. All right. And they realize, like, hey, if we push it out and we allow more time, not only can VFX and everything be done and the production schedule be easier, but also we can get in more people as their schedules get open. Here's the other thing, though. They're going to have to bring the fucking money truck, buddy, because some of these people are not going to be cheap. And if you want to get Jeremy Renner in there, you better pay him what he at least made on Hawkeye Season 1, or he's going to call you out for it, as he rightfully should, by the way. But, that's a whole thing. But anyway, those are just kind of my thoughts a little bit on the pushed release dates there. What was your thinking on this?
No, I agree. I think it's all for the best. I don't think there's no truth to what you're saying from a scheduling standpoint, a production standpoint, but I think that the idea of giving VFX more time, I think is a great idea. And so I think two things can be true. I think that they could not have had everyone locked down and also wanted to give more time to effects. So I think it's a positive, and it could also be construed as, that's award season. Maybe Marvel's got some confidence that we're not anticipating here. So I wouldn't be shocked if maybe that plays a factor in it too, especially if you have Robert Downey Jr. coming off of his Oscar with Oppenheimer. I would not be shocked if that also played a factor into it. But I think it's positive. As for Spider-Man, I am curious about that. I really I would be shocked if Brand New Day had a very tied connection directly to Doomsday. I could see that being more of a setup and a post-credit scene, which I think that you could just easily remove.
Yeah.
And I think because I think since they were coming out so closely to each other, you kind of lose from an audience perspective the idea of like, oh, we could just like it has to pick up because I just watched this movie. Versus now, they kind of have the benefit of when Spider-Man is introduced in Doomsday or Secret Wars, whatever, you can kind of just write a line of dialogue to say what he's been up to. You don't have to show it as much as I feel like you would have to with a May to July shift.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's not a crazy thing. I just realized that as you were talking, like, oh my God, I figured it out. Like one of the main reasons for the push. But there's a couple things in live chat I want to pull out first. Kevin Davis, I'm not skipping you. I promise I'm coming back to you because we're going to talk about finances here at the end. Don't worry, I'm not skipping you. Scottish Geek Guy says, howdy, folks. Thank you, Scottish Geek Guy. I appreciate it. Let me get you popped up on the screen here. Thank you, Scottish Geek Guy, for being here. And he also adds in, I doubt it's for awards reasons, but yeah, more likely time for VFX and forward planning for the MCU. I agree about the VFX, but Nick, it dawned on me. It dawned on me. The MCU is in a place right now where their hits are not nearly as guaranteed as they were, with both Captain America and Thunderbolts kind of underperforming at the moment. What is something that's going to be a guaranteed moneymaker, timing-wise, if you're going to release a big movie?
The holidays?
Christmas Day is the busiest movie-going day of the year, every year, bar none, without fail. As someone who lived, sweat, bled, and died in a movie theater working for one, I can tell you it's very true. And I bet this is also a play of, hey, this movie is fucking expensive. And if we're going to lose some money on this potentially as a risk, we need to make sure we're putting it in a place where we're giving ourselves the biggest strategy for success. That strategy being over the holidays. Because what was the last Marvel film to open over the holidays?
No Way Home?
No Way Home. And how much money did it make?
$1 billion, almost 2.
Almost 2. Correct. And that was without China. That is, I think, part of the decision. Yes, it needs time for VFX, absolutely. Yes, they want to try to get more people in that they can't get in because scheduling is a bitch, absolutely. Yes, it's probably because they realize, oh shit, the movie comes out in a year, we just started filming. There's so much stuff to do, oh my God, absolutely. But I also think they're trying to set themselves up for as much success as possible, and doing that in the holidays will help them. I think that is actually a genius fucking move. And I wouldn't be surprised, like going back to the scheduling thing, I would not be surprised if they have they're shooting stuff from Secret Wars now too. Like let's say there's like a cameo they're getting in Secret Wars, and it's for somebody that's either older or they don't know what their schedule is going to be like next year. They're like, hey, well, let's just get you in now. And then it's like, but by getting that person's schedule in, they can't shoot something for Doomsday, which means they have to push, Doomsday. Yeah. Like, I think it's a lot of reasons, but the Christmas thing, I think I'm onto something here. I wouldn't be
shocked if that's the big one. I think there's a little bit of truth to everything that we've listed, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But overall, the truth in all of it is, I think it is all for the benefit, right? Marvel gets more money. They get more production time. The effects team gets more time. I think it's a win all around.
Oh yeah, for sure. Scottish Geek Guy adds, but if Avatar 4 is planned for Christmas, Marvel will change it. That is likely. However, I don't remember which year the Avatar movies come out. Is there an Avatar this year? Or is that next year? Because if there's an Avatar this year, is the next one 27 or 28?
Hold for show. The original Avatar was released in 2009. Way of Water 2022. Pre-Christmas weekend every other year, with Avatar 3 scheduled for 2023. Oh, this is not inaccurate.
Come on. Get the new articles up. We know James Cameron does delays.
I'm trying. The next one is coming up. It's that stupid Google AI.
Yeah, Google AI sucks ass, dude.
Avatar 3 is December 19th, 2025. So December of this year.
Yep.
And then Avatar 4 is 2029, and Avatar 5 is 2031.
Okay, so right now they're not overlapping. Scottish Geek Guy adds, yeah, it's December. So right now they're not overlapping, because you're right, they would never ever allow that to overlap. That's 100% true. Speaking of getting into money, I want to address Kevin Davis's live chats. He put them in a while. Kevin, thank you for putting in the chat. Let's get into the money stuff, which, by the way, if you guys are like the box office discussion, we do the show twice a week, once at the beginning of the week, once at the end. The show at the beginning of the week, we cover the box office from that weekend, and it's always my favorite part of the show to dive into the box office numbers. It's really fun and fascinating. I believe we'll be doing one this Monday for the holiday. Nick, if you're free, we'll find out if it has to be Tuesday, but that's when we'll dive into the box office there, because this past weekend is going to be crazy. But let's pull up what Kevin Davis had to say. He added first, even if Superman and Fantastic Four First Steps have good reviews and audience support, both these films have to make money at the box office. Correct. That's always correct for every movie, basically. He adds, international audience is going to save Jurassic Park Rebirth at the box office. That's true, but international box office saves a lot of movies at the box office now. Like, the reason why studios feel comfortable to make movies for so much money, even though they need to chill and make them for less, is simply because they need that. They know the international box office is a lot bigger of a market than it used to be. And so they're almost banking on the international box office helping them out for a lot of the time, for most films. But yes, Jurassic Park does killer overseas. That is true. He also adds, Lilo and Stitch will make $1 billion. I agree. Tom Cruise Mission Impossible will make between 500 and 700. That is likely just due to the history of the Mission Impossible franchise, but here's the problem. That movie cost $400 million to make. It's one of the most expensive movies ever made. That movie basically has to make $1 billion to break even. Pretty close. It has to make like 875, maybe 900. That's a lot of fucking money. And I don't know if Mission Impossible could get there. I want it to, and I want it to be successful and be financially viable and make money. But the 500 to 700 is where they tend to land. Dead Reckoning made, I think, just under 550, while Dead Reckoning Part 1, let me say, made about 550, and I believe Fallout made over 700. I don't think it got quite to 800. But yeah, no, it's the precedent's there, but I hope it can make more just for the sake of profitability,
but that's
for
the
sure.
Issue. Fallout's the best one in the franchise, including Final Reckoning, so if that's where your best caps out.
No, it's true. And by the way, our review for Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning will be out very soon, so be on the lookout for that.
Yes. I do want to bring up a point, though, to one of his comments here, the first one. Even if Superman and Fantastic Four have good reviews and audience support, both these films have to make money. Yes, obviously they want them to be profitable, but I do disagree. I think that the good reviews and audience support in both of these cases are much more important than the box office. Because right now, if you look at Marvel, right, there's all these comments about like, oh, Marvel's washed. It's not what it used to be, right? The superhero fatigue idea, right? All those conversations were not happening about Thunderbolts, which was a very good movie that I very much liked and that I thought was very unique outside of the Marvel scope of things. So I think that movie gained a lot of favor back with the audience in terms of Marvel, and it has not. I think it's at 1.8 times its budget last I looked.
Yeah,
so it's not profitable yet, and I don't think it will be, especially with the absolute onslaught of summer blockbusters that we're getting this year. But I think that Fantastic Four will do better than Thunderbolts. One, because it's a more recognizable IP. One, you have a lot. Pedro Pascal is just one of the biggest actors in Hollywood right now, as is Florence Pugh, but the Fantastic Four is a much more recognizable IP of A-list characters, if you will. But I think that movie needs to be good just because that is going to be essential to the hype of Doomsday, which, you got to be thinking the long game in these scenarios. And the same thing goes for Superman. It doesn't have to make a lot of money. It's just got to be good because it needs people's faith in the DC universe, which it's kind of in a shitty position because you have all of these Snyder bros and the DCEU truthers, if you will, that are kind of rooting against Superman, but it looks good. I'm very excited for it. I think it needs to be good and has to win the audience over, and that's going to be a lot more important moving forward for this new DC universe, Fantastic Four needs to keep the flow going with the Marvel hype. DC Superman needs to reinvigorate hype. It needs to be projecting that, and I think that puts a lot of pressure too, even looking forward on like Supergirl. Now, I think Supergirl needs to be good and make money.
What you're saying is true with an asterisk, much like Thunderbolts, in that if Superman comes out and makes $200 million, the DCU is dead after Supergirl comes out. Like, that's it. Like, that's way too less. If it makes 400 to 500, which with its huge budget would be barely profitable, just under profitability, but it's exceptionally well received, then I think they're okay because of what you said, like the
and
coming
that's
off
more
of
what I was
DC
talking
and going
about.
into it. Yeah. But
that's more what I meant. I should have clarified. In a world where Thunderbolts makes 3, I don't see Superman not making 4 at a minimum. I think Superman needs to skirt profitability. I don't think it needs to be profitable, but it can't be a huge money loser. But I don't see it being, I don't see it getting into the 3 times its production budget. But I think they need to get to at least 2.2.
probably.
Call it a win.
Yeah. And I think that if it can get to the Man of Steel money, which was, I think, just under $700 million, that would be a huge win for Superman. That would be a huge win. I think that with Fantastic Four, I think like what you were saying, if Fantastic Four will perform better because of Thunderbolts being well received. I think Thunderbolts would have performed better if Captain America 4 was better received. I think, you're seeing these things build, and that's the kind of the good and bad of having Deadpool be disconnected but not disconnected and far away enough to where you couldn't really tie it to Captain America 4 hype or get it hyped enough because they were so far apart and because Deadpool's kind of disconnected. Whereas on the opposite spectrum of time, Doomsday now comes out a year and a half after Fantastic Four. If Fantastic Four is fucking awesome, and you have Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four being both insanely fucking awesome, and then you have a year and a half to Doomsday, what are people going to do in that year and a half? When those hit Disney Plus, they're going to watch Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four to get ready for fucking Doomsday. That's exactly what's going to happen. Now, if Fantastic Four sucks, that's a problem. And again, if Fantastic Four makes $200 million, that's really fucking bad. Like they're going to be regretting making them a big part of the Doomsday movie for sure. But they clearly have confidence in this movie. You can tell, and so I hope it pays off for them in that way. But
where
yes.
Thunderbolts makes 3, I don't see a world where Fantastic Four makes less than Thunderbolts, personally.
Listen, we've seen Stranger Things. We've seen it happen, and
I've watched it all.
Yes, right, fucking A. But I think Thunderbolts will get to a little over 4 when its run is over. I don't know if it'll make more than Cap 4. Hold on, let me look up exactly how much Cap 4 made. Hold for show, everyone. This is the fun part about doing live shows, the little dead air when we look this up. So Captain America's total was $413. It might make more than that. We'll see. It won't be much more if it does.
Thunderbolts?
Yeah, but it also doesn't have the brand recognition that Captain America had along with it. So, it's going to be a fun uphill battle. Because here's the thing. It performed well enough in its opening to where if it had a really good drop, it would have been a win. But it had an average drop, and then another average drop. And then now all the movies are coming out. So, it did okay. But obviously the critical results they're happy with, but they obviously wish they made more finances. But I do think it will help contribute to the success of Fantastic Four because these things tend to build as you go, especially with the MCU pitching as it always has that it's one connected universe with this type of thing. So that's where I think we're at. So yeah, thank you for those, Keith. Sorry it took, or not Keith, Kevin, Jesus. Sorry it took all the way to the end of the show to address them, but I wanted to make sure that we had enough time at the end of the show to kind of go through everything properly. And please join us on Monday where we dive into the actual box office from last week at the end of the show, which I will love doing. Because I agree with you. I think Lilo and Stitch is clearing $1 billion easily. I hope Mission Impossible can make as much as it can. We'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, it's going to be a hell of a box office weekend. I can tell you that for sure. But guys, that was the last news story that we had for you. We always love and appreciate you joining us on these things. If you prefer to listen to audio only, you can find us on your podcasting app of choice. And if you like to just see kind of clips from our show, please follow us on TikTok and Instagram, as well as if you can just subscribe, and our YouTube shorts will pop up as we kind of make out the clips from the show as they come out. Be on the lookout for our review of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning and the review of Bring Her Back, the new horror drama coming out next week from the directors of Talk to Me. I will get that review out here in just a couple days as well. Also, if I happen to go see Lilo and Stitch this weekend, I might get a review out for it. There's just so much happening at one time right now where like something had to go, like something had to drop, and it just happened to be Lilo and Stitch this week. But looking forward to seeing it if I get the chance to, and hopefully reviewing it for you guys. But that'll do it for today's episode of the Movie Nights Roundtable. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.